live recording this right now. It is Tuesday, December 2nd, 6:30 Eastern Time. Chase, we've had BYU news all over the place. So I guess something happened in football today. Kalani's re-signing or something. It's crazy. Good for him getting an extension, but I mean, were there any schools coming after him or anything? Like, what was going on there?
I can't even pretend. What a 48 hours you and I had. I mean, all of Cougar Nation had. It's crazy. We'll get to talk a little bit more about Kalani, but BYU, everything looking up, man, all across the board. Awesome time to be a BYU fan. I'll tell you what.
It's an awesome time to be a BYU fan. They're a real player now. We'll get into all that here in a little bit. We're going to start today with the Cal Baptist preview, but before we get into that, it was announced a couple days ago that Dawson Baker had a brutal knee injury. It was everything we thought and more, how bad it was. I mean, he tore just about every ligament and bone and thing in his leg. It was a disaster. You feel terrible for him. You feel terrible for this BYU team. The guard depth just keeps dwindling down. And, yeah, man, you just feel for Dawson Baker in a time like that.
Gutted for him. Like, absolutely gutted. He's dealt with tons of injuries throughout his whole career, especially here at BYU. You know, he stuck around through the coaching change. He worked his way up to playing time. Obviously had some incredible moments for the Cougs, super memorable ones, helped them get to a Sweet 16. He really carved out. You know, we were talking about like 2 weeks ago how he's the bona fide sixth man, right? And to end it like this, I honestly feel awful for him. 25 years old, you know, and I think that this will probably, I don't want to speculate, but my guess is his college career at the very least has come to an end. And just sucks, man. Injuries always suck. And we feel for our guy and hope the best for him. Yeah,
I mean, it's just a laundry list of things that went wrong in the leg. And so he's out for the season. Nate Pickens is out for the year. You know, Nate Pickens will be getting a medical red shirt. I don't know if Dawson Baker will, or even if he wants to keep playing at his age or anything. That remains to be seen. But, tough news for Dawson Baker. But let's move on. Let's get into the Cal Baptist preview, Chase. We talked ad nauseum about Feast Week. We did the live show. If you want to hear more about that, you can go back and listen to the Instant Reaction Pod. BYU, Cal Baptist, Delta Center, Wednesday night. Another game. We're still a week away, Chase. We're still a week away from seeing games at the Marriott Center. BYU is an 18.5-point favorite against Cal Baptist. And you're like, Cal Baptist, what about these guys? Well, they played Colorado and Boulder down to the wire, and this Colorado team's a lot better than they were last year. They're actually going to be kind of frisky in the Big 12. Cal Baptist, that's their only loss this year. Kind of a frisky WAC team, and then you see an 18.5-point spread, and it could be a little deceiving, Chase.
Could be, a trap game we want to call it. Listen, when I watch Cal Baptist, when we watch the film, when we check out the players and everything, you're kind of impressed and you like what you see, especially from a WAC team.
Shout out UVU. Those are UVU should be the favorite in this conference. Before we started recording this, Chase is like, no UVU references.
We don't need any UVU stuff.
Shout out Todd Phillips.
Shout out Todd Phillips for real. But that's enough of the UVU stuff. All right. I'm picking Cal Baptist to win the WAC. I'm just kidding. They are nothing to scoff at. And 18.5 points, I think both of you and I are surprised. Maybe we're underestimating BYU. We're not used to this type of caliber of talent. When you look on paper, when you look at the matchups, yes, there's a significant advantage. At the same time, like, you take a look at what Cal Baptist has done to some power conference schools. Granted, not the very best of the best. Big win over Oregon State. I know Oregon State's not in a great spot basketball-wise, but hey, look, you're beating someone with better resources than you and all that. They did take Colorado. They gave them a really good game. Colorado's off to their best start in like 80 years, record-wise. They feel a little bit rejuvenated. They have some good wins on their schedule. Don't know if it's going to pan out once they hit conference play. Again, the Big 12 is just a complete, it's a slaughterhouse. But at the end of the day, Cal Baptist has had some experience, playing some legitimate talent. They're coming into this BYU game. I think they're taking the attitude of, I got nothing to lose. they've been doing this kind of West Coast, mountainy trip, playing Oregon State, Colorado, BYU. They get Utah after the Cougs. Interested to see that line, but that doesn't matter right now. So at the end of the day, scary spot to be in for BYU. If we see a mental lapse like we did against Delaware, first half of UConn, first half of any Feast Week game, really, they're better than this, the Delaware team. And I think they have a legit chance to maybe pull off an upset here. If you're BYU, you cannot fall asleep in this one.
Yeah, you can't fall asleep. And if you're BYU in this game, this is one of those where we talk about the three ball constantly, where BYU's got to shoot the three-pointer better and all this stuff. This is a game where you don't get three-point happy. You don't need to waste your time shooting 35, 43s in this ball game. Get downhill and get to the paint every single possession, because that's going to be there. When you watch the film, you look at the rosters and everything, teams were able to get downhill on Cal Baptist. And BYU is probably the best, as two of the best penetrating guys in college basketball with AJ Dubance and Rob Wright. Like, they can get downhill better than anybody else, and Richie Saunders can as well. Just don't get happy from the three-point line. Continue to drive into the paint and get the easy buckets, get fouled, get to the line. BYU should win this game comfortably if that's the case. If they get, a little fat and happy and start, chucking three-pointers, and if they're not falling, then you could see a little bit of a same frisky, weird first 25, 30 minutes that we saw against Delaware. Or you could see what happens against a team like Holy Cross, where now Cal Baptist, they're way better than Holy Cross. But BYU was able to get downhill, and then that opened up the three ball a little bit for them too, and then the floodgates opened. That's the thing here in these bye games. Get downhill. Don't get too cute. Just buckets in the paint, points in the paint. That's the name of the game.
To your point, Carter, to get a little bit of the Cal Baptist, they don't play a true center. They don't have a legit five that's in their normal rotation. They play kind of the power forward hybrid role. I guess someone has to take the five, whatever. Someone will be guarding Kebaketa, but it's not a true center role. They don't have a real effective rim protector. And so getting to the lane and going and finishing at the rim, I totally agree with you. BYU's number one priority here. Cal Baptist shoots about 18 threes a game. It's not a lot. It's about average college basketball. They're 209th in tempo. So they're not exactly going to be up and running like BYU may have seen in some other teams, especially this past week and everything. But that doesn't mean you can leave wide open shooters. They shoot 31.5% from three as a team, which is not bad. It's not amazing, but it's okay. But I think they can get hot any given moment, right? Just like anyone can. Like we saw in Dayton, where we talked about how, hey, this team can't shoot at all, the percentage on the season. And then, you almost lose that game because you went under screens all day, and we don't need to talk anymore about those games. So defensively, I think BYU would do well to continue to pack in the paint, let Kebaketa do his thing at the rim, and also go out and shooters. I think BYU can be aggressive here, try to speed Cal Baptist up a little bit, because, again, that's not how they really like to play, and it can kind of cause some havoc. Again, another guard-heavy team like BYU's seen the past couple of weeks where we've really locked in on the guards, and that's where the scoring comes from. Cal Baptist is kind of the same way. They score from all over the floor. The mid-range is not, they have the green light from there, and so you just need to, man your guy up, work on the screens, communicate, and make sure the penetration stays minimal as well, just like Cal Baptist is going to try to do against BYU.
You look at Cal Baptist's stats, you mentioned a couple of them, and how we're talking about like, oh, Cal Baptist, they're frisky, they're good and everything, and you go through the stats and you're like, 241st in points per game, 261st in pace, 237th in field goal percentage, 334th in three-point field goals made per game, and then 259th in three-point percentage, 217th in free throw percentage. A lot of these margins are very minimal, especially early on in college basketball, so I will say that. All these stats, assists, 324th with only 11.5 per game. BYU, 257th in assists. Key stat there. But where they actually rank among a lot of teams in the country rebounding, which is weird because they're not a big team. It's just effort. I mean, it's offensive rebounding. They rank 10th in the country in offensive rebounds.
Wow. That's impressive. And like you said, not big dudes, and it's a team effort too. You look at the dispersion of those rebounds. No one guy really stands out to you. Like they're all getting dirty and getting to the boards, which BYU they've had spurts where they've struggled rebounding and keeping teams off the offensive glass. And look, if you give a team a bunch of shots, they're eventually going to start hitting them. So it's your BYU. Very good point, Carter. Got to be able to rebound the ball, especially when you're oversized. Like they're gonna have some length on these dudes.
And also, I mean, we saw that in the first half of the Miami game where Miami was getting every offensive rebound purely based on effort at that point. Now, do I think Cal Baptist wins this game or anything? No, but I do think that it's a little bit friskier than what people might think. I think you're going to be sitting there in the second half and you're like, okay, why is this still an 8-point game? Why is this 60-52 right now? BYU should be able to walk away with this game. I think BYU wins. I don't think it's as a dominant as a win or anything. I think BYU wins 84-68.
Okay. That looks pretty good on a scoreboard in my mind. It's like, 20, about 20. No one's doing the math. Yeah. No one's like putting in that effort.
84-68 sounds a lot better than like, for BYU's sake, it sounds better than like 87-71 doesn't sound as bad. And it's still a 16-point loss.
Right. It's this is deep. I mean, these are good stats here. To give the listeners a little bit of perspective, Joe Lenardi, bracketologist, of course, if you know college basketball, you know him. He has Cal Baptist as a 13 seed. He has them as their automatic qualifier, winning the WAC. And so he sees them good enough to play in this tournament and to be a 13 seed. And honestly, might be, depending on the matchup, not a bad pick popularity wise. We all know 13 seeds beat 4 seeds on the regular. So nothing to scoff at. You're playing back in the Delta Center. Tickets are much cheaper. I checked, Carter. $23 to get in the door.
They are much cheaper.
I don't know if it's the competition or if they listen to us. I like to think we had something to do with it. I know, of course, we didn't. But I expect, I don't know if I expect an incredible crowd. It's a Wednesday night, back from the holidays. Students are in school. But probably better than what we've seen, right? Because the tickets are just affordable this time.
Yeah, but it's not as big of an opponent on a weekday night. It's probably chilly. I don't know. It's chilly here in Carolina, Chase. It's too cold. I don't like.
Shut up.
I moved.
You don't know anything about chilly.
It's like It's like high 30s and rainy. That's not why I moved back to the South. I thought I was supposed to be able to play golf every day.
Shut up, dude. Get out of here. We don't want to hear about your chilly Carolina days. BYU played really good in the Delta Center. Obviously, the last time they were there. So hoping they can keep up that shooting in that gym. I think they're getting a little used to it. I don't know. They're there a whole lot, but
they're there more than the Marriott Center.
Yeah, you're exactly. You're exactly right. The court won't be purple. So
another point about this, at first I was like, man, this is a dumb game to schedule. I'm going to be honest with you. That's how I felt, where I'm like, why are you scheduling this game, neutral site and everything? Well, the net standings, they're early, but the way it shapes out right now, this is a quad 2 game.
Yeah.
So not a bad thing having it be neutral at the Delta Center, to be honest, because if this is at home, this is probably a quad 3 game. Not the worst thing in the world.
18.5-point favorite in a quad 2 game. Pretty good spot to be.
And if they win the WAC, let's say Cal Baptist, has a great season and, runs through the WAC, maybe loses the UVU here and there, Cal Baptist is going to keep that quad 2 status at the end of the season if they're still favorites to win this league. So this is a great chance. Go try and beat up and put up a ton of points on a quad 2 opponent. Now, the stupid part about the net is if you beat a team so bad, then that can drop down to a quad 3. This is why the net's the stupidest thing college basketball has brought in.
Dang, I mean, that was harsh. I don't mind the net. It's a good way to organize it. But you're right. It's going to matter about, that net ranking will matter more in February. So we'll keep our eye on Cal Baptist, assuming BYU wins this game. If they lose, we might need to keep an even bigger eye on Cal Baptist because that could be a resume killer in and of itself. I think 18.5 points is a lot. I actually don't think BYU covers the spread in this game. Neither did you with your prediction, I suppose, because you said 16-point win for the Cougs. I hate to agree with you, Carter. I'm gonna go 84-69. I think 15 points. Kind of similar where you're at. BYU keeps him at arm's length, pulls away. But I think Cal Baptist shows a little bit of mettle in this game and gets up for it. And then, then we send them off to Salt Lake, see what they can do up there in the Huntsman Center.
Yeah. If BYU comes out and starts the game like how they did against Holy Cross or Wisconsin, and then they start getting downhill at will like they should, they could win this game by 30 plus. I'm not saying that, but
yes,
I got some respect for this Cal Baptist team too. So want that out there. Quickly, one thing we talk about this every bye game usually, but this is more important than ever now that Baker's out for the season. But somebody on the bench, take advantage of these games. You got 4 more bye games until conference play starts, plus the Clemson game mixed in there. You have 4 real chances to really, really make a name for yourself and get minutes right now. One of these guys, Maras, Diamande, whoever it may be, one of these guys has got to step up in a major way if they want to be playing important minutes come March.
100%,
especially
100%. We said that the last bye game. We didn't really see it. It was obviously that Delaware game, and they needed every bit of minute from every bit of starter to really feel okay leaving that one. You have Kostic, right, with Dawson out, taking up the backup point guard minutes. This is a time, I think it's a time for the whole team to shine. Maybe not in the exact ways we've seen. Like if Richie Saunders scores 30, that's awesome. But I'd rather see the starters earn the backups their minutes by starting out fast, playing intense defense, getting out and running, executing in the half court, finishing at the rim, hitting free throws, and then earn a chance for the backups to play and for you to take a break. I know everyone wants to be on the court, but for me, that's a sign of a really good team, right? In a game like this, these guys should not be going over 30 minutes because they will have done their job and allowed some other guys to get some run against pretty good competition. This is no Holy Cross, so it'd be a good chance to see some of these guys step up. Is BYU going to need someone to step up and hit 4 threes? Probably not. It's not going to, they're not going to need it to put them over the edge here. But it's, like we said 100 times, a chance for someone to really differentiate themselves from the rest of the pack. There's been some spurts, right, from Diamande. There's been, Kostic has made some garbage time threes, so we think he can shoot, but he hasn't done it in real minutes yet, right? So it's going to take, seeing Tyler Maras, who's going to probably be in the first half, right? Can you take advantage of those minutes? Can you show everyone what you're made of? Can you show this coaching staff you deserve to fill this, I'd say, pretty big hole in the team right now? They can play their starters 35 minutes each, but they don't want to do that. And at the end of the day, it's just not going to work. So consider this another version of the tryout. We said that a few times, but real opportunity for a lot of guys here.
Yeah, we got about 4 tryout games coming up, and you mentioned him a bunch of times in that. Kostic, man, I really am excited to see what we get out of him. I hope we get to see him and maybe initiate some offense a little bit, run actual backup point guard minutes or something. You got to find something from someone, because eventually, come conference play, there's going to be a game where Rob Bright is in foul trouble, and what do you do then? You don't want to fall into the AJ ISO ball where, he can get you out of that hole, but he can't do it single-handedly. You got to get help from others. You got to see someone like Kostic step up, or maybe, KJ Perry burns a red shirt or something, burns a year of eligibility and comes in. But somebody's got to come in and play backup guard minutes at this point now. So,
absolutely.
Anything else from this Cal Baptist game?
No. Those are all my notes. All my research has been thrown out. I love
it.
So,
I love it. Well, let's move on. Let's talk some football real quick. Kalani Sitake is. I don't think it's official yet, but Thamel, all these guys are reporting. We can report it too. Is staying in Provo, getting a big fat deal to stay in Provo. Donors and everybody ponying up and saying Kalani's our guy. We're making sure we keep him. Just imagine a world, Chase. Just imagine a world. Just think you're in high school. Think 2017 high school, Chase. There is a world where a BYU coach turns down an $11 million a year offer to go coach at Penn State in the Big Ten to stay in Provo at BYU. That's the world we live in now. That the world of BYU being top of the line competitive in NIL, now in recruiting. They're a major player in this game now, not just in basketball anymore, but in football too with this.
Yeah, and then tell 17-year-old me that, the basketball team's top 10, and oh, by the
Yeah.
way, BYU football is playing for a Big 12 title that same week. I'd probably have an aneurysm and just drop dead right there. It's special, man. I think what the whole country didn't really understand or get about Kalani, about BYU, is that this isn't a normal place. And I'm not saying that like, oh, we're so special. It really isn't, because of the tie-ins with the church and everything. And Kalani's not a normal coach. He's not a normal guy. Any other coach goes and takes that job, and he dang near did. But he wants to be a BYU guy. He loves the school. He loved his time playing. He wants to honor the legacy of Lavelle Edwards. I think he's already done an amazing job at it. He's successful. He's perfect for BYU, and BYU is perfect for him. I'm very glad. I personally don't blame Kalani at all, even if he had left. I think the real problem and the disconnect is coming more from upstairs and some of the people running the show behind desks. I'm very glad that they came to their senses, that they decided that this is what's best. I'm grateful for, obviously, the billionaires that love BYU sports as much as we do and are willing to put their money where their mouth is. And I'm glad we got it done, man.
Well, in Kalani's defense, if you were to leave, I wouldn't blame him, because you're getting a slap in the face from the College Football Playoff Committee saying, yeah, we don't care you're 11-1. It doesn't matter. You have to be an automatic qualifier to do this, even though based on all these different metrics that BYU should be in the playoff or not. It's a slap in the face to you, and that's when Kalani, and that's what it seems like the timeline lines up of where he gets the College Football Playoff rankings and goes, are you kidding me? Like, what more do I have to do here to win? If I want to win and be competitive at the highest level and have a true legacy and win a college football national title, am I able to even do it at BYU at this point? And honestly, the truth is, before this deal happens, no, that was never happening at BYU. Now, with being this competitive, like, you're on the same playing field as a team like Texas Tech. Texas Tech has a great chance at making real noise in the college football playoff this year as well. You're in that ballpark now. You can do this at BYU. And it's so awesome to see this happen and everyone getting on the same page and the momentum BYU sports had at this point. If Kalani were to leave and go to Penn State, the momentum that just gets shot right there and then, and the hit the program takes. Now, if Jay Hill were to take over, I have full faith Jay Hill would have done a fine job with the program. With donors have been backing up the Brinks trucks and coming in saying, hey, we'll give you whatever you want. I don't think so. I could have been proven wrong, but doesn't matter. We don't have to know that anymore. This just takes us to it. It keeps the momentum going, and especially to squash this and to get this deal signed before the biggest game in program history. Massive.
I want to go back real quick. I think you're making some amazing points. I think maybe if this had happened last off season, they missed the Big 12, but like if all this stuff happened and then they committed to Kalani, they committed all this money, maybe BYU would be getting more respect from the committee right now. Maybe. I don't think so. I think maybe it's also just a lot of bias, but it shows not only BYU, it shows the country like, okay, now this is a legitimate program. Like, you don't understand how much money they actually have back here. You saw it with some basketball stuff, right? Bringing in some amazing recruits, right? Bringing in KY. And now it's like, oh, they can do that for football too. And it just shows everyone else that they're really serious. And people have been putting them up there with Texas Tech and saying, these are the two teams who have invested the most in this conference. We might be seeing, knock on wood here, kind of a top dogs finding out a way to be in the mix every single season now with the resources they have. I think it's the beginning of college football. I think everyone's eventually going to get there, they're one way or another. But for BYU to finally commit and finally do this, it's pretty awesome. I think 10 years ago too, I think they let the coach walk because they're like, I don't know if this just isn't what happens at BYU. We don't pay the top dollar. We take the guy who wants to be here. We're frisky. We do more with less. And that was fun. But now let's do more with more, man. Like we have all the resources now and we have a great squad, great coaching staff. And I'm just so happy he stuck around. Also an amazing guy. I mean, who else would you rather have as a person coaching your football team?
Well, that's what I was going to say too, was Chase, like we've done media stuff. We've been around the football program. We've been around basketball. We've both been around other programs as well. And you hear things all the time about different coaches and stuff. I mean, what's going on with Lane Kiffin? I mean, the Ole Miss fans and all this stuff are freaking out and whatnot. Even if Kalani would have left BYU, you would have not have heard a BYU fan say a bad thing about the guy. Everybody in that building, everybody that's been around him in this program and anything, you'll never hear a bad word about the guy. And in a sport like college football, that's unheard of almost. I mean, like, even some Alabama guys have bad things to say about Nick Saban. Yeah, he's the greatest coach of all time, but he wasn't the nicest guy. Kalani's doing both. He's like Andy Reid, but in college football.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, we've had small interactions with him in our student reporting days. And class guy, always nice. And I would have been happy for him either way. I'm particularly happy that he's getting what he wants, what he needs, what he deserves at BYU. And also, like, to clear, if anyone doesn't know, I mean, it's pretty common knowledge now. Kalani wasn't looking for money for himself. He wasn't trying to fill his own pockets. He was really looking for the program to be fully invested in. Looking out for some of his assistant guys. And I think he wanted a legit chance to win and like make some noise. And that shows me that he's also super committed, right? And that he's got this competitive spirit and nature about him. And man, that's who you want coaching your football team. So,
and normally I would call bullcrap on that. With another coach where it's like, okay, let's call it like it is, Lane Kiffin. Like, Ole Miss is putting up money for you, Lane Kiffin. You wanted to go to LSU. You wanted the prestige and the extra money of LSU and everything. Normally, I call bullcrap with these coaches like that, but knowing what we know and knowing how Kalani is, it was truly all about my staff needs to get paid, because this has been a battle for years now with him, where he's been fighting for his staff nonstop. And I also think where Kalani, it's been reported online that he verbally agreed to the Penn State job and everything beforehand. I also think him agreeing to the Penn State job verbally, he didn't even know this was possible, to be honest. Because I think if Kalani knew this was possible, he would have stayed. Obviously, we're seeing that because he's now committed to BYU.
Yeah, I mean, it was a legitimate out of left field home run ball that BYU happened to swing and hit, because I think a lot of people came in at the right time and said the right things. And it took a long time to get here. I just am so glad that I think BYU's finally decided to change, to invest, to make it a big thing. We talk about the mission of BYU athletics and all this stuff, and why, maybe we shouldn't be investing all this money. I think if there's one thing to invest in, this is probably it. No one knows more about BYU than sports fans, than people who watch them play on Saturdays, people who know who Kalani Sitake is, who know AJ DeBansta, right? Who everyone will be talking about and seeing. And when you invest, you get more eyes, and you ultimately, right, you bring people to Christ, which is the whole point of BYU, which is the whole point of athletics, which they often repeat. I can't think of a better way to do it. I don't know why you feel like you have to remain cheap in some sort of, I don't even know, philosophy that thinks that money doesn't matter, or that's the wrong way to do it, when it 100% is the right way. And like I said, no one can do it better than Kalani, man. He's the perfect representative. Just an amazing guy.
And also, if you have the donors to put up the money, then who cares? Let them pay.
Yeah. I'm let them do it,
good
man.
Times roll. What are you talking about here? I agree with you too, with the athletics and stuff and whatnot. It's kind of like with Yegor coming into BYU and Yegor accepting BYU and everything, and now he's going on to the NBA, and I think he'll be a great NBA player. And just the positive PR that brings to the church, whether he joins the church or doesn't join the church, or him having that good relationship with BYU and being tied in with BYU is a very positive thing. Think about how many people know of BYU because of a guy like Steve Young.
100%. How many people learned about BYU and the church from this whole Kalani Sitake thing? Penn State sure did, and their fans figured it out.
The Penn State fans have been maybe the funniest fan base I've seen on Twitter.
They've been awesome. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Special stuff.
But this is how this all works. We wouldn't know University of Gonzaga if they weren't awesome at basketball. Nobody would know what that school is.
Yeah, you drive right past it. I've driven right past it. There's nothing there. It's kind of a dumpy town. No offense.
Yeah, there you go. No, not even get into it. Big 12 title game.
Yeah.
BYU. They were a 13.5-point favorite. They're now down to 12.5. Some people are liking the Kalani Sitake news. They're a 12.5-point underdog coming into this game. Very similar to what it was in Lubbock, Texas last time. Over under 49.5. Jerry World, noon Eastern kickoff, 11 local. Chase, can BYU pull off a miracle?
The answer is they can. I think you saw it in that Texas Tech game. The way the defense played is actually really impressive. If you go back and watch the way the offense played, was their by far worst game of the season. That's a ton of credit to Texas Tech. Like, they're a legitimately amazing team. You and I both think that they can make a run in the playoff. They're awesome. With respect, and that being said, I think BYU can hang with them and actually do like a good job at what you need to do in football to win a game. I think they can win the turnover battle. I think they can win at the offensive and defensive lines. I think BYU has amazing talent at linebacker, at corner, at safety to play defense. We saw that in that game. I think offensively, I think you have to put some trust in Bear. I think you have the best running back in the league, or in the conference, I should rather say. I think you have a sure-handed receiver. I think you have a playmaker. I think BYU has the tools to do it. Will they do it is a different question. It's been an emotional week, a distracting one to say the least. BYU, that slow start at UCF, I don't know what that was, if that was Kalani like thinking stuff, it was people hearing things, or if it's just like, look, we got this locked up, we don't care. If they take it seriously, they will. That's a stupid thing to say. But if they bring their A game, and if they're focused and if they have a good game plan, I think BYU can win the Big 12 title in Dallas. I really think they can.
Have they played there since the Oklahoma game?
That's an amazing question. I can't imagine.
I'll get stats department on it real quick.
I can't imagine when.
But, little juju there, huh?
Juju.
I think you nailed it. I think they can win. I think they have the tools to win. I think it's eventually gonna come down to how much trust you have in Bear and how much Bear is able to get it done with his arm in this game. Because look, they're gonna sell out on the run. If you're a BYU fan going into this, I think you hang your hat on two things, especially coming into this game. Is one, the defense. The defense did look good, and the defense was affecting Bear Morton. Like it was like everyone talked about. Oh, this game should have been 40-7 or whatnot. Well, BYU's defense was the reason why it wasn't a 40-7 ball game last time. And on top of that, LJ Martin was running at like 20% last time they played. Those are the two things you hang your hat on. With a fully healthy LJ Martin and this defense ready to roll, you can make some things happen. You got to force turnovers. You got to get the Morton. You got to wreak havoc back there. And you got to put some trust in Bear, and he's got to make those big-time throws. Like I'm not breaking news here saying, oh, wow, you have to make plays to win football games, but that's what it's going to come down to for this BYU team. They're not going to be able to rely on, you want to get time of possession with LJ Martin to give your defense some rest. They're going to have to get very creative in this game is what I'm saying.
100% agree. My prediction is if BYU was to win this game, big if, I know, but if they were to win this game, they would be leaning on LJ Martin, but they would be made or broken with Bear Bachmeier. And you're going to have to eventually put it in his hands and be like, we're living or dying by you, buddy. And I know you're a teenager, and I know this is the biggest game of your life. It's biggest games of all our lives, right? And I know you transferred here at a weird time, and you barely all this stuff, and you just got to be like, let's see what you're made of. And every time they've done that this season, he's stepped up in massive clutch moments, whether it's with his legs or with his arm in moments. So I can't wait to see what he's made of, man. And I think the kid has it. And if he doesn't, I wouldn't be too worried about it either. I also think, Karter, I think neutral field's a big deal. I think with game day there in Lubbock, that crowd was amazing. Patrick Mahomes is there, all this stuff. I think it's going to be a true neutral field. I understand going to be tons of Tech people there. It's their first Big 12 championship game ever in program history. But I also think BYU fans, they were waiting for this last year, right? Bought a bunch of tickets. Didn't happen. I think they're super stoked about this. We know they travel. We know there's a lot in the Dallas area. I think it's going to be like a true 50-50 stadium. And so there's going to be a lot of juice for both sides. And I think that obviously bodes well for BYU because of what happened when you played in Lubbock. It's going to be a different environment.
I agree. I agree. Now, bad news. I don't think BYU wins this game. I think they keep it close. I think they keep it competitive. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a very. I think it's. I'm going Texas Tech 30, BYU 23, and I think it's a competitive game. It's just. It's going to be this miserable argument of BYU wins in a competitive game, and then like Bama will lose in the SEC title game, and then BYU is going to get knocked out of the playoff for a 2-loss Notre Dame team that doesn't have a great win, and then a 3-loss Bama team because they can't be punished for playing in the SEC title game. I feel like that's what's going to happen here. I'm praying it doesn't, but that's what I feel.
All right, well, let me just get rid of that bad energy. I think the Cougs win.
That's what I'm saying. Close it on a good note.
Let's go. I think they force 3+ turnovers on Texas Tech. I think they affect Morton a ton. I think, man, I mean, we haven't even talked about it, man. I think their coach is staying for them. He's fighting for this program, this team. I think the boys will be fired up. I think the whole program will be fired up. The fans will be fired up to see Kalani. I think Kalani's fired up. This is the opportunity of a lifetime, fellas. You get a redo. You saw this team. They took your lunch money, especially on offense. You have a chance all over again. At that point in time, that was the biggest game in program history. And guess what? None of it matters. None of it matters at all because you're not making the playoff anyway. And you can get it all back right here, right?
Yep.
Also, I think the Big 12 might be paying a little bit of the refs. I think we get the refs help because they can get 2 teams in the playoff.
I was going to say that too, Chase, because, hey, Brett Yormark, you want to be like the SEC? You want to get SEC respect? Start paying these refs, buddy. Start paying these refs towards BYU's favor because you want 2 teams in the college football playoff. Jim Phillips did it last year. I'm not saying he paid refs, but I'm saying Jim Phillips was very pleased with how the ACC title went last year with Clemson and SMU getting college football playoff berths. If I'm a Texas Tech fan, I'm running with that conspiracy all day if they lose on Saturday. I would be running with that all day. Brett Yormark wants them in. We got screwed and all this stuff. I wouldn't blame him.
I mean, it's the perfect excuse. And breaking news, in case you didn't already know, the college football playoff show is going on right now. BYU still 11, still the first team out. Nothing changed like we expected. So yeah, it's win and in. And if not, it's not happening. So like I said, man, nothing else matters except this game. I mean, crazier things have happened. I think Cougs win. I'll give you a score prediction. I think it's kind of a grit and grind, almost like Cincinnati was, where the defense just shows out like crazy. The offense gets enough to get it done. I think BYU wins 26-20. Weird score, I know, but I think defense stops at the end. They walk away with the dub.
I love it. I'm jealous of the prediction, but I'm not gonna lie. I think I did that I did it in the last game where I was like, no, BYU's winning, and then I think I just got burned last time. But 2 more things. One, I think you make a great point about the momentum of Kalani Sitake staying. Like, how awesome is it your coach you're playing for in college football where dudes just leave all the time, the portal, whether it's coaches leaving and everything, and your coach says, "No, I'm here for you guys. Let's go win this right now." That's a huge momentum builder.
Dude.
Also, last season, you get like BYU loses to Tech this year, and you're like, man, like, okay, I want the rematch. Last year, you lose to Arizona State. You're like, gosh, I would do anything for that rematch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. They're allowed to feel slighted. I think they're allowed to feel disrespected. They're allowed to take the underdog mentality because they legitimately are in points and everything, double digit and all that stuff. I think that stuff matters. It travels. I think this team has it. By the way, I would pay a disgusting amount of money for video footage of Kalani telling the whole team that he's sticking around. I know they probably heard it through the grapevine. It was probably leaked. They probably all knew it. But I just know that room was fired up, dude. And I would pay an egregious amount to get footage.
Yeah,
of that.
If you're doing the cut, make just a cut of Kalani signing the extension.
Kalani's the decision.
The decision. It's like DeAndre Jordan getting locked in his house and everything. It's just that all over again. Yeah, no, man. I'm excited for this game on Saturday. That's for sure. It's
gonna be awesome.
I had one more point, but I forgot it, so it doesn't matter anyways. Oh, last thing, actually, and then we'll get out of here. If BYU does win this game, pulls off the Big 12 title, I will be putting out so much propaganda for making sure BYU gets a bye in the college football playoff.
A bye? You mean top 4?
I'm talking top 4. Because if Tech wins this game, they're probably getting a bye.
And I think they deserve it with the A&M loss. Yeah. But with BYU, I mean, they have them at 11. They'd never hop them. They'd have to. They'd definitely get a home game. And then we'd be talking about one of the greatest nights in the history of that campus.
Yeah. And selfishly, like, if I kind of do want the home game because that would just be so cool. But for the easier path and the home game would be sick. I also want just like how unbelievable would it feel? BYU winning the game on Saturday, Bama loses the SEC title game, and then it's just nonstop chatter about Bama or Notre Dame who gets in.
It'd be amazing. And I hope they leave both of them out. Put anyone else in.
Miami.
Let's get JMU in. Let's
Duke
do this.
In. 7-5 Duke.
Let's let Duke in, man. Come on. Keep both those teams out.
Oh, that would suck if we got a Tulane versus BYU first round playoff game, huh?
In Provo? Oh, man.
Unreal. All right, that does it from us. At Chase_Roger2 or at CarterBA, at ChurchBallPod on everything. Field of 68 Podcast Network on the YouTube channel. We'll be going live after the game tomorrow against Cal Baptist, so make sure to tune into that. And also, real quick, if you watch the recordings on YouTube and everything with the lives, we're making some improvements here. I understand how frustrating it is when you pop in when it's a recorded one and you go, oh my gosh, they're sitting there setting up the live and everything. Don't worry. It's going to say stream begins. You're going to skip ahead 90 to 100 seconds ahead, and then boom, it's live. You're not going to miss a thing. You're not going to figure out where do I start this podcast and everything. So if you're watching on the recording, expect that going forward. It's going to be much, much easier. When we start these shows, we have to be able to promote these streams and everything and get it out. So we need about a minute or two to get things started. It'll be much, much easier for when you're watching on YouTube because, Chase, I know when I watch stuff like that on YouTube, live streams after and whatnot, and I'm like, wait, when does this freaking thing start? I know how frustrating it is. I know how annoying it is for a lot of you people. So we've got that fixed, ready to go, and so very excited. It's gonna look a lot better. We got some good things cooking here on the production side. We're
putting in work, folks. We want this to be the best product for you guys, and we're doing our very best. We hope y'all enjoy. Also, sponsor us.
Hey, Breeze Airlines, you're making flight. You haven't booking another flight to Dallas. Bring a sponsor over here. If any sponsors want to hit us up, our DMs are wide open.
Wide open. Wide open.
All right, that does it from us. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Adios.